adoption process in late February, early March of 2011. We knew we wanted to adopt since before we got married. Something we had talked about, and so we had been planning and praying and saving money, and had decided that we wanted to try to adopt first before having biological children. We had researched and narrowed down our options to either Uganda or Ethiopia, and at the time Ethiopia was going through a lot of changes and new restrictions in their adoption process, and things were slowing down, so we decided to try and adopt from Uganda. Fast forward a little over a year later, we've gotten matched with a child, we got a referral, and then we lost the referral, and then Uganda started going through all these different changes in their adoption process and all these new regulations for parents who wanted to adopt. And basically, long story short, God shut the door to Uganda, and we were kind of left back at square one. At that point, things were starting to regulate more in Ethiopia, so we decided to switch to Ethiopia and try to adopt from Ethiopia instead. And since we were basically starting over, we knew it was going to be a really long wait before we brought a child home. So we talked to our adoption agency about the possibility of trying to conceive and have a baby while we waited. They said that's totally fine. We could put our paperwork and stuff and our position on hold for 6 months before getting matched with a child if our baby was born and we needed a little bit of time. We quickly redid all of our paperwork, redid our dossier. In September 2012, we submitted our paperwork to Ethiopia. All of our paperwork got submitted, and we were officially on the waiting list, hoping to be matched with 2 children, a sibling set or twins. Giselle was born May 19th, 2013. We were just overjoyed, loved her so much. In November of 2014, Giselle's 6 months old, and little do we know, Theo is being born on the other side of the world in Ethiopia, in an area called Adama. It wasn't until a full year later, when Giselle was 18 months old and Theo was almost 1, that we received his referral. It was 2 days before he turned 1 year old, 2 days before his first birthday. We got his referral, November 2014. Josh was in Japan on a trip for work, and my mom was actually up staying with me, helping with Giselle. When I got the phone call from our agency, it was like at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm just totally freaking out. Of course, I can't get in touch with Josh because some kind of crazy time difference, and so I'm just emailing him. I'm forwarding him all the referral paperwork and pictures of him, and finally the next day, Josh and I ended up connecting over Skype and getting to talk about it, and as soon as we could talk about it, of course, we immediately accepted the referral and said yes, and got the ball rolling on a whole nother stage of paperwork and waiting that we needed to go through in order to get a court date and officially adopt Theo. A preliminary hearing needs to happen in Ethiopia, which is something that the adoptive parents are not involved in. At this point, Theo is about 18 months old, and Giselle is about to turn 2. So the preliminary hearing goes great, everything goes smoothly with that. The next step is for our case file to be handed to a government office in Ethiopia called the MOA office. They handle international adoptions, and Ethiopian caseworker is assigned to our case and needs to look over our paperwork from the preliminary hearing and basically just sign off on it saying, yep, everything looks good, give this family a court date so they can travel and meet their kid. So we're waiting and waiting. 4th of July rolls around. We're up at Josh's aunt and uncle's lake house celebrating with family, and we start hearing about other families from our adoption agency that had preliminary hearings on the same day and in the same week as us, and they are getting the phone call that they have a court date and that they're going to be traveling to Ethiopia. Some of them even left 4th of July weekend. So Josh and I are thinking, this is awesome. Like, all these families that are the same stage in the process as us are getting court dates. We're going to be next. Like, we'll probably get a phone call next week that we're going to travel, and usually you have very little notice. You only have a few days, maybe a week to buy plane tickets and pack and get yourself ready to go. So we're just ready. Well, sure enough, the first week of July goes by, the second week, third week, fourth week, the whole month of July goes by, and we just have no idea why we haven't been gotten a hearing. Our agency also does not know why we haven't gotten our court date. So they are checking with the MOA office every single week, saying what's going on with the Timmer case, Why haven't they gotten a court date? Why haven't you signed off on their case file? And basically the MOA office is just kind of blowing off our agency and keeps telling them, oh, it's fine, everything's fine. No, we don't need any more paperwork for the Timmers. It's just the caseworker who's on their case is really busy. They haven't got to it yet, they'll get to it. So we're starting to get really concerned because we're coming up to a deadline at the beginning of August when the Ethiopian courts are going to close for 2 or 2.5 months for the rainy season. It's just a normal seasonal closure that they do every year. But if we don't get a court date before they close for the rainy season, we will be stuck for an additional 3 months in the process, just waiting for a court date, and it will just lengthen things out even more. The day after the courts close for the rainy season, an official from the MOA office calls our adoption agency office in Ethiopia and tells them that they have actually lost our paperwork, and it had been lost for weeks, and they had been trying to find it because it's the type of document that's official, has to be produced by the court. You can't just like print a new one off the computer. And that is why we had not been given a court date. And at that point it was too late. The courts were already closed. They weren't issuing any more dates. And so we were going to be stuck until the end of October before we would be able to travel to go meet Theo and adopt him. To make matters worse, during this time, a lot of families from our agency are traveling. Some of them are actually going to the same orphanage where Theo is living and visiting Theo for us, taking pictures of him, taking video. We started getting pictures of Theo during this time that did not look good at all. One of the families that traveled to adopt their son and was able to visit them, the mother of the family is a nurse. She told me, Anna, Theo needs to go to the hospital. He is not going to be okay. The nannies at his orphanage actually told this mom that Theo was not eating anymore and that they couldn't get him to eat. I'm freaking out, to put it mildly. So we talked to our agency, expressed our concerns. We share with them some of the photos and videos that we've gotten from families of Theodore, and they agree that he doesn't look good, and so they immediately have him picked up from the orphanage, taken to a doctor, and the doctor, an Ethiopian doctor, diagnosed him with acute severe malnutrition and said that he needed to be put in hospital right away. Our agency was able to intervene quickly and got him admitted to a hospital. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks, put on a feeding tube at the beginning because they just wanted to get nutrition in him right away. And during that time, thankfully, there was nothing that was permanently wrong with him. He just was super hungry and not getting enough food. He was 14 pounds when he went in the hospital, almost 2 years old. He came out of the hospital about 18 pounds. Finally, we get the long-awaited for court date. It's October 21st, so Josh and I traveled. October 19th, we traveled to Ethiopia. Josh was there with me for the first week. We had our court date. We met Theo for the first time. As soon as we got there, we actually got to meet him like the same day that we arrived, and he cried when he met us. He was totally scared of us at first. But he warmed up to us really fast. And Josh stayed for a week with me in Ethiopia. Then he had to go on to Bahrain for work, and I stayed for an additional week in Ethiopia, so I was there for about 2 weeks total. During that time, I got to have Theo with me quite a bit. October 31st, I said goodbye to Theo, one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my whole life, and I got on a plane and flew home to my other baby, Giselle. And it was actually really quickly after that Theo's paperwork, his visa got ready, and he was able to come home. He arrived home to us on November 14th, 2015, and that was the day before his second birthday, which was really significant for me because I had prayed and prayed that I could get him home, that he would come home before his second birthday, and God answered that prayer, and it was just really special. So we flew into Seattle. Friends and family met us there at the airport with signs. His cousins even brought him a birthday hat because it was his birthday, and they had like made banners that said happy birthday because he was going to be turning 2 the next day. I remember we had just had our little Jetta, and so Giselle had her car seat in the back and Theo had his car seat in the back, and I just squeezed myself in between their 2 car seats for the car ride home because I wanted to make sure I was right there with him in case he was really scared. Giselle was so excited to have him home. We had like presents for him and things that we had gotten him, and then she had all of her special toys and stuff, so she just kept bringing him stuff and like putting it on the couch where he was laying, and before we knew it, he was surrounded by a shrine of toys and welcome home gifts and slept through it all, of course. He was super afraid of our dog Bauer. Bauer's really cute and fluffy, and Theo had like never seen a dog, so he was terrified of Bauer. And then because Bauer kind of looks like a stuffed animal, Theo was afraid of like all stuffed animals. So we had all these stuffed animals that Giselle had, or stuff that people had given him, and if any of them got near him, he just would scream and cry. It was really funny and kind of sad too. But he warmed up to Bauer really quickly. Within a week, he was like not scared of Bauer anymore. It took him a little bit longer to warm up to stuffed animals, but now he loves them. Had him sleep in our bed with us. He slept with us for the first little while after he came home. And I just remember laying there in bed next to him, and he's all snuggled up with his pajamas. I'm just like laying there in bed staring at him, and I can't believe that he's even home and that he's laying in bed next to me and that it's over. Like all of that time, this 4.5 years of waiting, all the paperwork, it's all over, and I have my baby in bed next to me. I mean, it was just the most surreal, just most amazing feeling ever.
If I told you my story, you would hear hope that wouldn't let go. And if I told you my story, you would hear love that never gave up. And if I told you my story, you would hear life, but it wasn't mine. If I should speak, then let it be of the grace that is greater than all my sin, of when justice was served.
So here we are, our first overnighter with Theo baby. He's having a bottle and he's getting a little bit sleepy. It's really sad if I try to put him down, so I'm not putting him down.
Go get you. Go get you.
Is that funny?
If I told you my story, you would hear victory over the enemy. And if I told you my story, you would hear freedom that was won for me. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Ramblers in the wilderness, we can't find what we need. We get a little restless from the search and get a little worn down in between. Like a bull chasing the matadors, a man left to his own schemes. Everybody needs someone beside him, shining like a lighthouse from the sea. Brother, let me be your shelter, never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring you home. Face down in the desert now, there's a cage locked around my heart. I found a way to drop the keys when my failures were. Now my hands can't reach that far. I ain't made for rivalry, I can never take the world alone. I know that in my weakness I am strong, but it's your love that brings me home. Brother, let me be your shelter, never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. Be the one to light the way, bring it home. And when you call and need me near, saying where'd you go, brother, I'm right here. And on those days when the sky begins to fall, you're the blood of my blood, we can get through it all. Brother, let me be your shelter, never leave you all alone. I could be the one to call when you feel at home. Brother, let me be your fortress,